Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Castle Crashers. Let's continue. So, we have two choices. Either we grind through the whole game trying to level up, or we run perhaps to a previous level, which would have to be something like Snow World, which wouldn't be very fun to play a second time. Or we could take a distraction and take on some of the arenas, but they don't give us experience. Or we can just try and beat this final level from the looks of it with the pet we have, which is a increase in defense. So what we'll want to keep an eye out here is when we take a hit, we'll want to see what the number is that we take. It seems like it was 23 from these guys. After we beat these guys, we have four bosses to take on after this. Assuming I didn't save some progress and finish the first boss. It would be nice if it did save that progress. And that's only like 4 or 5 coins, which if I was using a different pet I could turn that into more valuable coin drops. But honestly, if I need gold to just try and buy some random item at some random store, random weapon, I could grind in an earlier level and do that better. This is a mess. These guys are trying to take me out very, very hard, and they are succeeding very well at it. There we go. You gotta just try to get these guys into the air, even if I can't see them, and get into the rhythm and the awkward timing of the button presses. I am not an expert in fighting game style button presses, so the way this plays is weird. You press Y and then you have to kind of wait before you press Y again, then you have to kind of determine which way the character has been flung and direct yourself in accordance with that. Oh, well, that saved the day, I suppose. We don't have to fight the first boss again. Alright, that makes it a little bit easier. I cannot retract my opinion, though, that these 4 bosses were supposed to be 4 bosses with 4 separate levels, and they chose instead to hurry up the game and not have us go through a level where we fight enemies and then a boss. It almost feels like a publishing contract requirement that all levels must include fighting smaller, weaker characters than potentially a boss at the end. I don't even think that is true for all the levels, though. It may very well have just been a lack of imagination on the creator's part. And yeah, it just feels like the game is unfinished to have 4 bosses at the end. But also worth asking, how do you raise the bar when the game has already played the same trick 100 times over, where there's a new enemy that just happens to have more health than the last enemy? Yeah. So they're trying to do something different here, it seems. Trying to defend any of that. And this musical guy doesn't seem like there's anything I can do with him. He is seemingly impervious to all forms of attack. And this guy you just hit. and then you just take the hit. I mean, this has been a consistent problem with all these boss battles, is that you really just take the hit. There's nothing more to it than that. Some hits you can avoid, some hits are just cheap hits. Questionable whether our... Let's see. It is questionable whether our defense up pet is actually helping us any, or if this really is just a more of a case of me having enough health potions to survive long enough to defeat a boss. I have to say, Deathbank was more interesting in almost all the boss battles. It was frustrating in that final boss battle because that was just a totally broken boss battle, but it was, even in that final boss battle of Deathbank, you were doing more than just trading blows for blows. There was a strategy in it, there was an idea and a concept in it, there was magic and 4 different weapons to use based on the 4 different face buttons on the controller. Here there are 4 different attacks, but honestly only a small number of these attacks are viable. Really, it's just Y. That's the only button you should be pressing. And I don't really get the way waggling the controller back and forth concept, considering how for the vast majority of the game you don't have any attacks that can knock you down to waggle back and forth. But I would say, had the game not ever allowed you to die at all, that would have been a cool idea. Like, if you just had to waggle to bring yourself back to life instead of dying, and the game never let you die. That's an interesting idea for an RPG, and that does something different. See, and that got me about 300 gold. And over here we have another energy core to be broken, which, see if we can break all the crystals in front and back. Seems like you really only need to break the middle one. So how many potions do we have? 4. So we should theoretically be somewhat safe. And here we have a whole room of corpses that have been tortured to death. And fairly obvious what's going to happen here, since this is the guy that brings things back to life. The question is, am I supposed to be getting high enough to hit all of these guys, or are these guys just going to be the things I have to fight for a while? And do these guys potentially have less height? And things like the ninjas, which only showed up in one level and really don't play any real role in the universe building, could have been fairly easy to miss, and simply not have in the game. This room does not need such wide variety. The only thing here to look at is my health while we're doing all this. We want to hit as many people and kill as many as possible. It doesn't really feel like the defense up is helping me as much as I would like it to. It probably is helping somewhat the defense pet. Seems like each of these characters is dropping food, but I doubt that has anything to do with the defense pet at all. I think the game is just being generous because they realize how much of a visual mess this is and easily to be distracted. I mean, seriously, is there supposed to be some kind of trick here? Or am I just supposed to be taking out all these guys that are moving really, really fast? I can't even see where I am. Come on. If the idea was to get these guys up and then be able to hit the guy there, that doesn't seem like that's working. And I'm dropping enough food that... Man, this is just a mess. Like, feels like this really wasn't even game tested. I don't see how people would have played this at this level and thought, oh yeah, this is it. This is how I want this level to play. Just a noisy, confusing, impossible to see mess of... Alright, let's try this. Yeah, the bigger version of me maybe takes out these guys a little bit faster, but I just got into a arm wrestling match with the bigger guy, so yeah. If we win, which we seem to not be winning, like, I'm hitting the X button, so am I supposed to blow a horn? We killed one of them. Killed some other people. But I mean, you can only have so many bombs anyways, so that was my entire resources of bombs. So when he inevitably throws a third wave of enemies at me, even stronger. So maybe now we have enough people on the ground that we can just use our energy attacks. Maybe. We still have that guy that's we have two very armored people and then one giant armored person. So it's not really surprising that they're all taking their sweet time to die. And we've gotten a few extra attacks, like 2 or 3, and that's about it. So unless this guy is a super pushover, I don't know how we're supposed to defeat him. We've got like 1 health, and it seems like we're supposed to fight him, and it doesn't seem like we can do too much magically. Seemingly does not work. Man, he seems to just knock you back. So you're supposed to, I guess what you're supposed to do is hit him and then get close enough to keep him stun locked. He seems to be vulnerable sometimes and not so vulnerable other times. I think maybe I'm supposed to do the XXYY, but it's not really working. Magic's still not working at all. He's just too fast. And we can... Let's see what this does. We'll see if we can just sandwich this guy and stomp him over and over and over and over again. Stomp, 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 stomp. Throw. Punch, 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 punch. Alright. 21 with the horn is not too bad. When I'm a larger character, by the way, it doesn't seem like I actually do any more damage. We may be able to win here. We probably should take a safety attack, though. I can't get him with the horns. Probably should take a safety potion just for the sake of it. I actually think I might win this. Particularly if I can not just get stun locked. Yeah, he's dead. Wow. I'm surprised I succeeded there. We now have a new weapon, which is cool, but we didn't get any gold. Let's see, is there anything secret over here? It seems like this weapon particularly has a far-reaching distance, which a lot of the weapons do seem like they are missing that ability. So we have one potion. Now we have a horn. We have 312 gold. And maybe this will take us to another level, which if it does, then that helps us a little bit. But I guess it doesn't really matter because we're saved from that point. And now we're in the wizard's den or arena. Alright, what are these guys gonna do? I'll just break them, I guess. Don't seem like they're too much of a problem. They seem like they kind of just fly and deal damage, but yeah, I'm almost done. This has got to be a trick. Like this should not be this easy. I'm only doing 17 damage also, so it's not like I'm doing a significant amount of damage. Blue. So what am I supposed to know about blue? Apparently nothing. It does seem like he is taking damage. seems like his color just as an indicator of what attack he's gonna do, which, okay, and we might learn something there. But it seems like all his attacks are pretty much just for directing attacks, and with all of which seem to have some knockback to them. Do we have, let's see, that didn't do anything. We could do that, but it would be particularly slow. I don't know what the appropriate way to attack this guy is. It again feels like this is a scenario that would have made way more sense with multiple people playing, because then one person could take the hit and the other three can attack. But with just one person playing, he's targeting me perfectly. Every time I hit him, I get knocked back, and I don't know if I'm really taking any damage when I'm getting knocked back, but I am at the very least getting knocked down. If I can get enough experience, I'll level up, but there's seemingly some danger in that. And clearly magic is the way to do this. Yeah. So we'll just let him do his thing and then try and hit him as quickly as possible. If we can get him in a position where he will. I mean, I guess we could do that. I guess that kind of works. I'm going to go ahead and use a health potion. Yeah. Being up and at an angle gives you the ability to deal damage way better than any of the other attacks. So if I had made it to this level without having that magic ability, which is very doable, like, had I just put everything into strength and defense and decided not to be a magic player, I don't think there's a way you could have beaten this guy. Because going up to maximum strength does not give you a strength-based attack that can attack from a 45-degree angle in the air. Let's see, here we're about to win. Although I wouldn't be surprised if this is just the beginning of some other boss battle. Yeah. That's what I thought. Now they want us to do the trick where we're flying in the air and hitting him as much as possible. Although he's flying in a 3D circle, and following that curve is pretty impossible to do. But that defeated him. And then we hit him. So that wasn't too hard. And here we go, we've got yet another boss to fight. This is the first time we've ever fought a boss that had more than one health bar. So surprising us with one extra health bar is okay. But 2 or 3 extra health bars is really pressing your luck. And this game has already pressed us luck. I don't know if this is supposed to indicate that the wizard was a spider creature all along, or what. I've just leveled up yet again for a free health thing. So I guess if you just want experience, you might want to fight the final boss over and over again, because he seems to definitely take a large amount of damage. And it seems like these other minions of his are literally just his secretion slash poop. made life, turned into life forms. There we go. So another floating ball fight. I don't see a reason for this. It seems like the platform is also falling. This feels really extreme. And if I was to guess what is going on here really, is they wanted to have several more enemies, bosses, and they had these ideas as far as what those bosses would look like and how those bosses would attack, and they ran out of animation budget, so instead they just had the same character do that. Although that doesn't really lower the cost of animation by much. They may have just run out of creativity as far as thinking of other characters, which when you look at the enemies we fight, they are all over the board with that stuff. He's got a giant sword now and can't really do anything to stop him. Yeah. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to take these guys out. This guy out. He does seem to fly around, and so getting him in the air and trying to hit him with a power hit probably is the right move, but he's not staying in one place very quickly or for very long. It would be incredibly frustrating if this guy defeated me on the 5th phase of a boss fight, and that is the exact reason why you don't have 5-phase boss fights. And I have no health, so all I can do is maybe hit him with a maybe, just maybe hit him with a arrow. The magic attack really wouldn't work by much. I think the general idea is to just get him on the ground and then hit him with the X button. That's doing about 17 damage. I can try and jump up and hit him once or twice, but I'm not really getting him into a stun locked attack, and I probably should just run for my life when he's doing that attack, come to think of it. Yeah, I think that this is supposed to be just a run for your life scenario, but there is kind of a problem with the way it plays out. It either fails miserably to do any damage or it hits you several times, and meanwhile I can barely get a single hit or 2 or 3 off of the guy. This needs to be the final round, and I'm gonna be lucky to even win this round. If they decide to throw yet another variation of the same guy, that's gonna really suck. And it totally makes no sense. This is not how you even build up this as the final boss character. Really, because we've seen him steal the crystal at the beginning of the game, which is in the background, and we've seen him show up here and there in the background basically, but that didn't really solve anything. Alright, so we're gonna ride the crystal and save the purple-haired woman who we've never seen her face. So is the gag going to be that she's really ugly, Or is the gag going to be that she's actually evil? So it seems like only 2 people so far worked on this game. I think 4 people worked on the game. I would put a lot of blame of the problems of this game on the producer. He clearly didn't know what he was doing. And then we have 2 more names as far as programming, although I think the first person mentioned was a programmer too, so that doesn't make sense why you'd separate out the programming groups. And then we have a webmaster, and then music is below webmaster for some reason. That seems insane. Yeah. I would definitely put it on the producer. Take note, there is no listing for a writer or a creative director or anything here that would show that a consistent idea existed beyond a slight visual concept that then was taken in 20 different directions. Here we have additional programmers, so apparently there's been 3 different programmers, and then a QA lead, a single QA, and then a few other QA people. I feel like some of these QA people had to have told them that this game did not play right at all. And this end section, while we're flying backwards, really just seems like it's showing all the devastation that I created throughout the game. But it's still fairly justified what I was doing. The bad guys in every single level were attacking me as much as I was attacking them. There was never a pacifist option in this game. Which, when you compare that to like Cuphead, there actually is a pacifist option in some of the levels in Cuphead, believe it or not. Yep. Very small team that wanted this to be a major success, and they didn't even get to a sequel. And I think that's because there's no lasting story here, and there's a lot of frustration gameplay here. And finally, thank you to the entire Newgrounds community and all the people who played our previous games and made a purchase on our online store. The direct support continues to make our dreams a reality. You don't get that kind of thank you these days in games. So here we can see there's basically everybody in the entire game coming to this first point, and we're about to get a kiss or get married to the princess. So maybe the other girls weren't actually princesses. And we've got some pets flying around. Yeah, maybe the purple-haired girl is the only princess, and the rest are just maidens. But I guess it doesn't really matter one way or another. And this was just a tutorial character that played no part in the game. And then the band played no part. They're not even like a jukebox feature. And there are some characters that are missing here. So we walk next to her and we kiss. And it's clown face. Why? I don't know if this is some kind of inside joke to Newgrounds or what. But this just seems like insanity nowadays, in modern times. It seems not justified. It seems ridiculous. It tries to give off this feeling that this game has been incredibly fun and just a good old laugh as far as playing it. And maybe if you had 4 people playing with you and they were doing a little legal drinking and having a good time that way, maybe you would have a much better experience. But on a single player experience, it's awful. It's just downright awful. We beat that level, and what does that send us to? Okay. Sends us back here. And the first thing to check, I suppose, is what do we want to potentially do? Like, you're really not going to get to max level. And I kind of don't think you're going to actually find all the characters either. Not realistically. You're going to have to play the whole game a second time. As far as the collection of weapons, it almost feels like you would have been better off finding a 100% save file for all the characters at some kind of max level. And then, ooh, this is clearly the sword to use. Why can I not use it? Or this is the sword I'm using, I guess. Yeah, I am using that sword. Still nothing here. Yeah. It makes zero sense. Let's look around the map. There's something down there that we never found. That clearly is marked. These some expensive potions I won't buy. Actually, we kinda can't buy anything, can we? Not if we were going to try and purchase the item. Like, we don't need to purchase that one. Walk slowly back through the other direction. The arenas still exist, but the arenas wouldn't give you experience. We already purchased that also. So we've gotten apparently all the animals in this side of the map, which probably means that there's 2 or 3 animals left. Okay. But we definitely can't afford that weapon, and I'm fairly certain we don't have that weapon. And then there's one more store over here. I'm fairly certain we don't have this weapon. And I'm fairly certain we don't have this. And I'm fairly certain we don't have that. So unless I just wanted to grind, yeah, it's not worth it to do the final battle. It's not really worth it to do those levels. There's an arena to the right there that we would have to do. There's an arena over here to do. There's clearly got to be some trick. Did not want to start this level, though. There's not going to be any secrets on this level. Basically couldn't be. So there's something down this way. Insane mode recommended for experienced players. Insane store. Let's see what the insane store offers. For 900 you can get a weapon that does +3 damage, but it requires level 30. For 1300 you could get this. This feels like this is DLC that's been added on after the fact, and I don't think this helps. Occasionally shooting ice, occasionally shooting fire. And then kinda nothing more. Why would they think people would want to play their game so much? Like, it really doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, I don't get why they would want you to play the game at least 14 times. At least. Probably closer to 20 times. Because you're not going to be at max level on any single character. You're unlocking other characters. Let's say for some weird reason you did decide you only wanted to play with one of the original 4 characters, you're still going to have another 5 characters that you unlock that you potentially are going to want to play with. And we've seen this cutscene so many times and you still can't skip it. So what is insane mode really here? I imagine we were one hit killing these guys before. Now we're doing like 19 damage, 23 damage, and they're not dying. Let's see, they've taken probably about 60 damage, 100 damage, 150 damage, 200 damage. They are ridiculous damage sucks. And you still get only 1 coin. Like, we're at 30 coins after we beat this guy. Well, see how much, see if we go to 31. See, if you have 1 guy on the ground, you actually can fairly easily kill these guys, but only then. Maybe you're getting a ridiculous amount of experience being able to play insane mode now, so maybe that helps you level up your character. But yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I hate to suggest making a game like this episodic, but they may have been able to keep people's attentions a little bit more had they put out some updates with some new levels every couple months or so, I guess. Because if people were really big into it, and then by the time they had like lost interest in it and burned out on it, that would have been about the right time to put out new content. But personally, if I had a group of 4 players that I wanted to play the same game with me, I would much more want people to play Borderlands 1, 2, or even 3, or even the pre-sequel. Any of those games, which are all massive 2K published, 2K funded games. Like, they have so much more going for them. And the simplified experience this offers is not better. If this was like a idle game, like, I could see this being an idle game. I don't think that helps anything. If this was a cell phone game, maybe that helps a little bit, because then it'd be easier to connect people together. And this definitely looks like something that would probably play on a modern cell phone fairly easily. But if this was playing on a cell phone, then you would probably have to reduce it down to a single a single single button press. So insane mode doesn't work. Seriously? Making you go all the way through all of that. Alright, let's exit the game now. Let's see what the other mode is. Because like, download content would just pop up Steam. It would be interesting, I suppose, now that we've beaten the game once. We played this character for a brief second, so he's level 2. We have this guy we've been playing for the vast majority, and he's level 36. It feels like you probably aren't going to get any bonus for getting XP, so it may get slightly more difficult to get the next 14 levels, and if not more. I think it would max out at 50, but maybe not. And then no reason to play as a blue character, no reason to play as a yellow character. If it had drop in, drop out gameplay where you could just swap between the characters, that would be fine. Also, on single player gameplay, why not have each character be alive? So when your first character dies, you didn't have to play as the next character. As you unlock new characters, you get an extra life, which would be very helpful. That would have been an interesting idea. Leaderboards. I want to see where I rank. So we have a experience score of 19,010, which puts me at the 467,000th place or so. Yeah, and then looking at the amount of experience that these cheaters who hacked the leaderboards on the top are claiming, that's just ridiculous. Arena wise, apparently I haven't played Arena or finished Arena. I really wish this game was better, because I think there might be a good hour or two of entertainment here playing with your friends, but there's way more frustration playing solo as Castle Crashers. And then there's this Off Barbarian section that isn't labeled as new, so let's see what that is. And then that's going to be the end of the series. I cannot even begin to desire to continue to play this, to unlock more characters. Is this some kind of musical thing? Okay. This is ridiculous. What does this have to do with the game we've been playing? I don't even know what I was doing, let alone what I was supposed to be doing. Seems like you just show up at random places and it tells you a direction via the colors. So you're kind of in this weird puzzle, and the guy's just trying to stomp on you. This is absolutely nothing. It really is nothing. This is awful. This was the extra content they put on there? And they like dared to sell DLC for this game? I don't think, like, I could not even wrap my head around what's going on here, because the movements are just so awkward. And so by the time you can look and see what the adjustment should be, You're just gonna get caught. Okay, well that's absolute garbage. Why is that even in this game? Why not release that as a free spin-off game or a $2 on Steam spin-off game? I'm fairly certain we did try to do the arena, but it was just really boring, as clearly it would be. Yeah, so let's just hop into it real quick. Yeah, we did this. And even at this current level, that's still gonna take a long time to kill all these heavily armored guys. Puts me definitely in a weird position here, because I didn't really like Deathspank at all. But it was fine. It wasn't great. But in comparison to this, it actually deserves more applause, because Castle Crashers is kind of just nothing. Nothing but grinding. And this is the worst part of RPG games. Just having enemies thrown at you, the enemies not really mattering at all. They have no backstory, they have no characterization. The world is weird. We've all seen that in Final Fantasy style games and JRPGs where the world is just weird, and it's weird for kind of no reason. This game is incredibly finger blistery for all the button mashing you press. Plus, it has no variety really in the buttons you press. Anyways, this might as well have been a turn-based RPG, because at the very least, then it would feel more familiar that you would just choose attack, quick attack, attack, quick attack, attack, quick attack. Because that's basically all I was doing every time I was hitting the X button. Or attack, heavy attack. That's basically all I was doing when I was hitting the Y button. Seems very much like half of this game has not been unlocked, but there is absolutely no motivation in me to try to unlock any of it. The achievements that might act as a motivating factor require you to play online. Almost certainly you wouldn't be able to play online, so you'd only be able to play a local multiplayer game. And even though this game does have four character local multiplayer, which is a rarity for PC games, that's not enough of a selling point to really justify people buying this in modern times. Back when this first came out, competition would have been tighter, or less tight, I guess looser would be the right phrase there, and I recall this game doing fairly well until it was promptly forgotten a couple of months later, and then never really thought of again. And I have to assume that the team that worked on this, Behemoth, their website doesn't seem to show that they've made any other games. They should have made a Castle Crashers cell phone game or something. Try to revitalize the brand. Try to do something different with it. There was a few comedic elements in this game. It wasn't terrible. I can't really walk away from this game hating it for the actual writing or story or content, since there isn't actually any of that. I just kind of hate it for the grindiness and the repetitiveness. There definitely could have been a better curated experience if you just wanted to have an abbreviated RPG game. It could have been a 2-hour experience, and that would have been fine with me. I also have to kind of think about like Rogue Legacy, where there's probably the same amount of art or even less in Rogue Legacy compared to this game, and yet the art and the storytelling with the art makes way more sense in Rogue Legacy than it does in this, and Rogue Legacy being a roguelike roguelite game, it was just a much better experience. Well, I think I'm gonna be talking in circles if I go any further. That's gonna be it for this series. And I thought I'd maybe be a little bit happier with this game, but I'm not super surprised. It totally makes sense why I didn't even remember the game after the UFO section. That's when the whole story starts to go off the rails. And maybe I didn't even beat the game originally when I first bought it. Well, that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist or gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.